let's start there. It says the table below shows Johannesburg Municipality water tariffs for 2021 and 2022. And it says there that table 1, Johannesburg Municipality water tariff rates. So these are the rates. This is a water tariff. And if I look at exactly the way I know it, as a sliding scale. I like to remember that this is a sliding scale, and therefore when I use it, I slide down, right? In my African language, umkibilizo. Like, you know how the kids would play and sit on those sit on cardboard boxes and slide all the way down. That's how you do it. You go from the top. So whenever I see a sliding scale, I always say, I don't have space there, so I always say there is something missing here, and that something is the column for the maximums. So I'm going to put it there. The column for the maximums is missing over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those. How do we do that? From here, the maximum is 6. From 0 to 6, the maximum is 6. But then when we come here, I always use this number and minus that one over there, and I get 4. As I say 15 minus that 10, I get 5. And I say 20 minus that 15, I get 5. I say 30 minus that 20 above. Always, I'm only looking at the numbers there. And then 20, that's 10. So that's 40 minus 30, that's 10. And 50 minus 40 over there, that's 10. And this one does not have a maximum, but I check it to say I checked and I know it does not have a maximum. Now, I'm no longer going to use this part here because I'm going to use my maximum column. Okay, so the next step now is that I read this, which is 2021 15% VAT inclusive. There's VAT included already in here. It's rands per kiloliter. So these are rands per 1 kiloliter. If I want 1 kiloliter, it's 20 rands and 20. If I calculate for 120 kiloliter here, that 1 kiloliter equals 20 rands and 21 cents. But then they put a dash over there. This means that the water is free, honey. If you use 6 or less, you don't have to pay. Okay, so now we're going to get here, and it says here VAT exclusive 2022. So in 2022, they gave us a VAT exclusive price. So before the client pays, we have to add what? We have to add VAT over here. Okay, now it says state one reason why there are no tariff rates for the 0 to 6 kiloliters. It's free. The answer is the water there is free. If you use 6 kiloliters or less, you don't have to pay. It's 0 rands. Okay, so for 2.2.2, a household used 38 kiloliters of water in 2021. Calculate the cost of water. Calculating the cost is much easier than using the money to calculate the water. So we're just going to quickly do that for 2021. Remember, 2021 already includes VAT. So don't add VAT here. It's already added. Okay, so let's get started with our 4 marks question. Okay. Here we go. 2.2.1, free water. 2.2.2, we are calculating for 38 kiloliters of water. We want to find the cost here. We're using the sliding scale, therefore our water will be divided into the sliding scale. So I like to calculate down where I say I have 38 kiloliters of water. And I'm going to go there and say I can't calculate for 38 there, only 6. So what I do is I leave 6 kiloliters there on row 1, and then I say how much do I have left, which I have to take to the next row, 32 kiloliters. And I say, okay, now I'm going to go to row 2. I can only calculate for 4, so I'm going to leave 4 kiloliters there, and then that's going to be in row 2. And then now I'm left with 28 kiloliters. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to row 3 and say I can only leave 5 kiloliters there, and that I left that on row 3. Then I come back and say, and now I'm left with 23 kiloliters. Okay, so now I'm going to row 4. See, I write everything so I don't forget. So now I'm going to row 4. I also leave 5 kiloliters there because I have 23 and only take 5. I have 23 kiloliters and row 4 only takes 5 kiloliters. So I'm going to leave 5 kiloliters and go be left with 18. And then I left that at row 4. Then I come back and say, okay, so next step is row 5. So in row 5, they take 10 kiloliters, but I still have 18, so that's too much. So I'm going to leave 10 at row 5, and I'm going to be left with 8 kiloliters. Right, so now I'm going to go to row 6. In row 6, they take 10 kiloliters, and I have 8. So I'm good. I can leave all of it at row 6. So if you say 6 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 10 plus the 8 that I left at row 6, it should all add up to 38. Then, okay, so the cost here is equal to 6 kiloliters there multiplied by the money. Let me not make a mistake this time. Plus the next one is row 2, which is 4 kiloliters multiplied by 20.28 plus row 3, which is 5 kiloliters multiplied by 21.417 plus, I hope I'm doing it right this time, 5 again, 5 times 29.68. So that's row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Very good. And now we're on row 5, which is plus 10 kiloliters times the row 5 money, 41.01 plus row 6. Now remember, we're looking at row 6. Be very careful. We are calculating for our water, not the maximum. The maximum is 10, but we have 8. So we're going to calculate for 8 kiloliters multiplied by the money there, which is 44.86. Once you take the 10, you're no longer calculating this person's water. You're just calculating the cost for the maximums, right? Okay, so let's find out how much this person is going to pay. So 6 times 0 is 0 plus this one over here, which is 4 times 20.48 20.28, 4 times 20.28, that is 81 rands and 12 cents, plus 5 times 21.17, and that is 105.85, plus 5 times 29.68, and that is 148.4, plus 10 times 41.01, and that's 410.10, plus the last one, which is 8. Remember, it's 8, it's not 10, times 44.82, and that is 358.56. And then the total. So we add everything together, and we get 0 plus 81.12 plus 105.85 plus 148.4 plus 410 plus 358.56, and that is 1,103 8 times 44.86, and that is 358.88 and 1,104.56. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The next question is going to be very interesting. So this one is 7 marks. Okay, the next question says calculate the amount of water used by a household that was charged 400. They paid 407.23, including VAT, in April 2022. Right? So we need to find out in April 2022 how much they paid. Now, the first thing you need to note here is we cannot calculate the amount of water using this amount because this amount includes VAT. So the first thing we need to do is remove VAT. So 2.2.3 is equal to, and we say 407.23 divided by 1,15. So if you don't know where 1,15 is coming from, it's 100% plus VAT, and then you get 115%, and then percentage can be written as a fraction like that, and it can be written as a decimal. 115 divided by 100 is 1,15. Okay, we divide by 1,15. So we're going to say 407.23 divided by 1,15. Remember, this amount is from 2022, and 2022 says April 2022 says that there's no VAT here. So we cannot come back to this table and calculate the amount of water used by these people using the money with including VAT, because VAT is added at the end. Now at the beginning, we're going to remove VAT, and then we're going to come back to the table. So now we have 354, comma 1130435, but we can round off to 2 decimals because money has 2 decimals. Okay, so the next step is we're going to use this to find the money. So what I do is, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just copy the maximums and write the amounts for each maximums, how much they cost. So here we don't have a maximum, and then here we multiply by, I'm going to use a different pen. We multiplied by, let me not, last time I did that, I had to redo this because I copied the wrong thing. Okay, so here, I just want to make sure I don't copy the wrong thing again. The first one is times 0. The second one is times 19. Okay, let's write times. The second one is times 19 rands and 36 cents. And the third one is times 20 rands and 20 cents, 28 rands and 32 cents, 39 rands and 14 cents, 42 rands and 81 cents, 54 rands and 10 cents, and this one times 57.88. Even though we don't have a maximum, we do multiply whatever we'll get here, right? So what is the actual maximums here? The maximum cost for each block is 0. And this one is 77.44, and the next one is 101, and the next one we're going to use the calculator because this is where I made a mistake. 5 times 28.32, and that's 141.6, and then we have 10 times 39.14, that's 391.4, and this one is 428.10, this one is 541.10. Okay, so all right, so here we don't have a maximum, so we will just have to sort it out when we get there, if we get there. Now I'm going to do another column now. We used how much more water? We used 407. We paid 427 rands and 23 cents, which is including VAT. So we have to remove VAT first. So when we remove VAT here, we're going to say 407.23 divided by 1.15. And how do you know that? It's 100 plus 15%, which is 115%. 115% is written as 115 over 100. If you press the calculator, it will say you 1.15. So we divide by 1.15 and we get 354.11. It's the other numbers, but money has, round off to 2 decimal, and this is how much it was before VAT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue referring to this amount. I shouldn't have written it there. I'm going to continue referring to this amount. So let's go. So we start here. If they used only 6 kiloliters, they would pay 0 rands, right? They wouldn't pay. So they paid. So they definitely used more than the 6 kiloliters. They definitely used more than the 6 kiloliters, right? So that's only 0 rands. And now we come back and say, okay, did they use 6 plus 10, which is all total would be 77 rands and 44 cents? No, they use more than that. So they also use the 4 kiloliters here. I'm just going to write the money there so we can keep adding it. So now I'm going to add these two and make sure. So that's 354.11 minus 77 rands and 44 cents. We're still left with water for this amount of money. So we go down here and we say, okay, this amount is more than the maximum here. That means they used all of this water and more, right? So that's 101 only, right? So there's no amount there. So I'm going to minus the 101 and see how much is left. So we go down here and we say 141.6, and this is more than that. So they also use all of that water and more, right? So if we minus that, we're still left with 34 rands and 7 cents. So we come here. The total here for all the water in row 5 is 391.4. Right? So they did not use the total, which means they did not use all the water. Now, this is where we come back to the rate per kiloliter. And we say, we take this amount that we have, which is 34 rands and 7 cents. And we divide it by the rate, 39. Remember, we multiply. Now we're going to divide 0.14, which is 0.870464997 kiloliters. And that, my girl, is how you get the total kiloliters. Now, if I add this amount, it should give me 354. So that is 77.44 plus 101 plus 141.60 plus 34.07, and that is 34.11. So the total water that they use is 6 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 0.870464997. They used a total of 6 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 0.870 so this is 2.2.3 0.46497 kiloliters, and you get a total of 20.870465 kiloliters. They said nothing about rounding off, so you can round off to whatever here, whole number, 2 decimals, 1 decimal, it's up to you, but this is the total liters that they use.